Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We're ready for the event.
Huffington Post, this is Mission Control, Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, hi, it's the Huffington Post. How do you hear me?
We got you loud and clear up here. How do you hear us?
You sound great. Thanks so much. What a treat to talk to you. Just wanted to ask a few questions. You recently set some records up there, didn't you? Can you tell our readers something about that?
Oh, well, first of all, records are for other people to break as well. So I hope me potentially setting records is a call for others to come after me and break my records. I was lucky enough to do a couple spacewalks on this flight, and I was lucky enough to do a couple spacewalks on my last flight. And so with 6 spacewalks in over 40 hours of time outside, it seems like I'm the #1 woman for spacewalks, and that's just a great opportunity. And we're lucky and we're happy that we're able to get the station fixed while we were doing that.
Mm-hmm. Also, you were in the news because you completed a triathlon in space, and I was wondering, how do you swim in space?
Yeah, that's a little bit difficult up here. We got nothing really to push against while we're swimming. So we had to do something a little different. And when I was growing up, I was a swimmer. In the beginning of the season, we would do a lot of dryland exercises and weightlifting. And so we thought of the things we have up here: a bicycle, which is right here, a treadmill, which is around the corner, and also the advanced resistive exercise device, which is essentially a weightlifting device based on vacuum. I would do the swim on the A-Red. And with the A-Red, you can do, leg exercises, abdomen exercises, and upper body. And so I did a routine of about 15 exercises, one in a row, for about 20, 25 minutes. And that was pretty exhausting, and that was my equivalent of the swim.
Did they give you a finishing time?
Well, I had my Polar Heart watch on, and I started it when I started the A-Red, and so I just kept it running through all the transitions, just like a normal triathlon. And the end time was 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 43 seconds when I finished the run.
Wow. Congratulations. When you're not, and what if you can tell us a bit about the science work that's going on up there? What sorts of things, experiments are you working on right now?
Well, we've got a myriad of stuff going on here. Of course, we have the U.S. laboratory where we are now. On the other side of the camera is the Japanese laboratory and the European laboratory, and then further on is the Russian laboratory in the back there. We got experiments going on in every lab. Some of the reason we have the exercise equipment is we're ongoing doing experiments on ourselves, trying to figure out how it takes or what it takes for people to live in space longer, based on bone density, nutrition, radiation. So we're doing a bunch of stuff on ourselves. We're also doing material stuff. Right over next to the camera on my right is a microgravity glove box, which we did a lot of combustion experiments on. We've also done capillary flow experiments. We've had, some stuff associated with education. We've had some spiders up here. We're going to get some fish up here in the Japanese laboratory. Aki's working on an experiment called nanosteps as we speak right now, which is a protein crystal growth process experiment. So there's things on us, materials here. There's a lot of experiments that are going on without much of our interaction just because it is microgravity. And then, of course, we have stuff outside like AMS, and then engineering experiments. We're getting ready to deploy some small satellites in 2 days, and also, other vehicles that are coming up here like SpaceX, which will be coming up here in a couple weeks, and we'll be doing a robotic arm grapple for that. So there's a myriad of experiments from biological to engineering and everything in between.
And when you're not working, what do you do in your downtime? How much downtime do you have, and what do you like to do? What's your favorite thing to do on the space station?
So we're doing a little bit of exercise like I was talking about. We're doing a little science experiments, and we're doing a little bit of maintenance. Remember, there's 3 of us, but luckily a lot of people on the ground to make sure the station is running well. But we're the guys who are the plumbers, the electricians, the IT guys, getting our hands on the stuff up here. So it leaves us a little bit of time. We sort of have weekends, about a day and a half for a weekend. And stuff that we like to do is, maybe watch a movie together, look out the window, take pictures. You've probably seen some of the great time-lapse photography that's been taken over the last couple increments to sort of give our story back to the people on the Earth. So there's also the internet up here, email, and we can also talk to our friends and family back on home through an internet phone.
Yeah, I was at a meeting recently and talked to a friend of yours who said he had an incredible conversation with you on the video chat, and I think you're doing somersaults and all sorts of stuff. Can you do anything to show us how cool it is to be in space?
Oh, being in space is really cool. I think the one thing that I'm going to miss is, I'm not really a gymnast at home, but here you can be a perfect 10 every single time.
I wish I could see you. I can't see you right now. But do you have a favorite? Did you just do a somersault? I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So thanks very much, Suni. Suni, do you have a favorite piece of equipment there, scientific or otherwise? What's your favorite piece of equipment on the space station?
Wow, that's a difficult question. Everything is sort of fun to do up here just because it is space, and you can do work upside down or sideways. It makes it a lot of fun. Gosh, I'm trying to figure out what's my favorite piece of equipment. I think the most impressive actually is the ARED, which we talked about, the resistive exercise device, just because it is vibration isolated. Essentially, it's floating, and it's a pretty amazing piece of engineering equipment. Just for fun, of course, I have my favorite thing, which is my stuffed dog, because I don't have my dog up here with me, and so I got my little stuffed animal. So that's sort of my favorite thing that I have personally with me.
Yeah, I know Gorby. I've read that you miss Gorby and you miss walking on the beach with Gorby. I wonder what else you miss. What else do you miss besides your Jack Russell Terrier and your family and friends?
Well, of course, there's that certain types of food. Space food is good up here in space, but every now and then it gets a little bit, I hate to say it, a little bit old. You try to spice it up by mixing some things together, but there's definitely certain things on Earth that I miss. One of those things is fried pickles. I know it's weird, but I'll be looking forward to those when I get home. And also my mom's good cooking and pizza. So there's a lot of things back on Earth that are nice, and I'll be looking forward to that when we get home in November.
So so you're coming back in November. What's your big goal there? Obviously SpaceX is a big thing. Can you tell us a bit about that? What do you have to do in advance of the arrival of that ship?
Yeah, it's pretty intense before the arrival of any visiting vehicle. You got to make sure this space station is ready to go, and a lot of the folks on the ground are doing most of the work there. But when it comes to grappling a spacecraft like SpaceX or HTV, and hopefully in the near future Cygnus, we got to get ready for that, which means we have to get our hands on the controls. Right here, right behind me, as a matter of fact, is the trainer. It's a simulator that we can practice what we call grapples, where the robotic arm comes and grabs the spacecraft that's hovering nearby the station. Our instructors have given us a lot of scenarios where the vehicle is maybe not hovering as solidly as predicted, and so what we're doing is called track and capture to catch it, and then with the robotic arm, and then dock it to the space station. And so we do a lot of practice here. We actually also use the real robotic arm outside to do practice grapples on a fixed fixture that's out on the space station. We also practice going through the whole sequence of how it's arriving and making sure we're monitoring and it's in the correct envelope. Then there's other things. There's physical things we have to get ready. Of course, we're going to unpack it, and then we're going to pack it up. So we have to do all of that, get that all ready to go. There's a berthing system that we had to install. There's a communication system that we had to check out. So there's many things that go into a visiting vehicle coming to the space station, and we've been just starting to get that ready, and that'll take the next 2 weeks or so.
Okay. Well, gee, thank you very much. I think our time's up. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and good luck, and we'll be watching.
Thank you very much. Great to talk to you, David, and everybody at the Huffington Post. Thanks for your interest in space.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Huffington Post portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CBS Radio.
Station, good morning. This is CBS News Radio. How do you hear us?
We've got you loud and clear. How us?
Sunny 5 by 5, and good morning. This is Peter King. Bill Harwood's also on the line with me, and we will go to Bill for the very first question.
Well, hey, Sonny, it's great to see you. We appreciate you taking the time. And I guess first question was what's it like being the commander? What has changed in your life day to day on the station now that you are, in some sense, in charge of it?
Hi, Bill. Great to hear your voice, too. And hello, Peter. It's great to hear your voice. Thanks for coming on board the station with us today. A little bit of a difficult question. You know, we've got a pretty tight crew up here. We were 6, and now we're 3, and I guess I'm the commander of the 3 of us. You know, it's an interesting thing. I think more of it as a team. You know, Yuri has got all sorts of experience in space. Aki's flown in space before and is just awesome. So it's hard to see myself as being, you know, the commander in charge of everybody. Like I said, it's more so we're a team, and we did a lot of that, you know, roles and responsibilities, getting to know each other and how we're going to work together a little bit more on the ground. And so we are prepared and ready to come up here and work both as a crew of 6 with our previous crew, a crew of 3 now, and then a crew of 6 with the new guys that are coming up in another month or so. So I had my one bit of commanding on Pirates Day, which happened to be my birthday, and I made everybody come have dinner together, and so that was my big first command. But other than that, I think we work together best as a team.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. One more for me real quick. You know, Sonny, at their post-landing news conference, Gennady Fedoruk and Sergei Krikalev were asked about the feasibility of, you know, having somebody on the station for up to a full year at a time. And Gennady was kind of negative, saying that he thought there'd need to be some habitability upgrades for that to happen. And Sergei said that he thought it was a good idea and that there's a lot to be learned by doing that. What's your cut on it? You've got a lot of space experience. What are the challenges in spending a year, and what, if anything, do you think would need to be done to make that feasible?
Well, you know, it's an interesting question. It's I think for personally, it's a little bit individual. Like, you know, what your expectations are about being on the space station for a whole year. I've been up here, you know, 6 months before, and then a couple months now already, and still going to be up here a month and a half or so more. I love every minute that I have up here, and I think that's the attitude that people have to come into it with is that you only have a limited amount of time in space, and although a year seems long, it's just 1 year. I think people could definitely do it. I don't know all the ins and outs, all the details of the science that they expect to get out of it. Of course, every step that we make for longer and longer of people being in space is going to give us a little bit more knowledge on what happens to people and if it's feasible for people to go further and further, you know, take the trip to Mars and back, which is going to be pretty long. So, you know, there's probably science benefits to it. I think living in space for a year could definitely is feasible, and the ISS is a great place to do it. There's science experiments to do all the time. There's always things to do up here, so I don't think people would get bored. I can't imagine getting bored up here.
Sonny, it's Peter, and following up on Bill's question, if they told you, hey, we'd like you to go back up again and you will stay a year, would you like to be there for a year?
Absolutely. You know, like I said, it's a small amount of the time of your life, and you know, if there are science benefits that could come out of that, you know, for sure. And you know, all the time that we talk about, oh, we might get delayed coming home. You know, this group of people right here is pretty excited about staying up as long as we can to help and do any type of any research that we can. So. Yeah, I think it would be great. I think it would be a lot of fun. You probably see a bunch of different crews coming through too, and that's always interesting to get a new perspective, new people coming up and see how they are adapting and how their opinions are of it. So that would make it a little exciting as well.
One of the nice things about living someplace where everybody wants to visit. 5 years ago for you, it was the Boston Marathon aboard station. A few days ago, you ran the Malibu Triathlon. And I'm wondering, is it easier or harder to do these events in space than on the ground because of the lack of gravity?
So they both have their challenges. I've run a couple marathons back on Earth, and every single time I sort of ask myself, it's, that 20-mile mark, what am I thinking? But you end up finishing it anyway. That happened up here as well, the same type of thing, both in the Boston Marathon and while I was doing the triathlon. What was I thinking? This is crazy. But, it's a little bit mind over matter. And to prove to yourself that you can do stuff. For me, I think it's one of those things. I think physical fitness is really important for kids to start off with that mindset. And it's one of the reason that I did both of those events is to just sort of highlight that, astronauts actually have to work out quite a bit too, every single day to equal what happens on Earth. And it's just a good lifestyle, and it's what people should do. So they're both interesting. I think both of them are hard. Up here, you don't have gravity to work against, but you have some equipment that's not really quite comfortable, and you're not on your favorite bike or in your favorite pair of running shoes, or swimming where you love to swim. So time goes by a little bit slower maybe up here in some of these pieces of equipment. So both are difficult.
We're in the middle of an election year, of course, and I'm wondering how much you're able to follow the candidates, what they are doing, and will you be able to watch the debates which start next week?
Well, we do get news up here, and so we are able to keep up with what's going on and what people's opinions are, and so that's good. We also do get streaming TV on occasion, primarily on the weekends. It's a little distracting during the week, but the weekends when we have a little free time, we usually watch football, but maybe we'll put on some of the debates. We had the Olympics on earlier in the year, of course, and so we'll try to keep up, but for me, I am a Florida resident. I already voted, so I already sent in my vote as an absentee ballot earlier as per the regulations. So I'll watch. I'll see if I voted correctly.
And how do you vote from space?
I asked about that process, and in Florida we don't really have a process for that. In Texas they do. So if people are Texas residents, they can vote for space. But I'm not absolutely familiar with that process just because that didn't apply to me.
Suni, it's Bill Harwood again. Let me squeeze in one more station-related question. I know you don't pay much attention to records, but you are now the most experienced female spacewalker, according to my records anyway. And so you're a good one to ask this question, too. The second-by-second kind of training that went into a shuttle spacewalk versus the way y'all do it now for a station. How is that? How's that working? I mean, obviously you guys pulled off an incredibly complicated EVA recently, but how is that more open-ended sort of training working out from your perspective?
Yeah, it's a lot different mindset, actually, station EVAs. We get a limited amount of spacewalk practice on the ground before we come up here because we only have a limited amount of time in our training template. And we try to hit all of the big things and the things that they predict could break and the things that we might have to go outside and fix. However, there's always surprises and something different always happens, and so you don't get all of the specific training that you might need. So it's a lot of work for the guys on the ground primarily because they're coming up with all the subsequent scenarios and what we call crib sheets of things that could happen when we go outside. There's a lot of studying on our part as well, but we're sort of following their direction and based on our skills going out and doing the spacewalk. I think it's working out pretty well. I think it's the way of the future. We're not going to know everything that goes wrong when we do potentially Mars walks or moon walks in the future, and we just got to be able to have the skills and then be able to adapt.
Hey, one last one from me, and it's a simple one. What's the most fun thing you do up there?
It has to be flying around. That's absolutely the most fun thing. You know, you at first when you get here and you start flying around, it's really unique and it's fun and interesting. And then you sort of forget about it because you're working all the time. But every now and then it snaps in your mind as you come zipping around the corner or flying up to the cupola, and it's just like being like Superman. So, you know, flying around is absolutely the most fun thing. Looking out the window is the most spectacular thing. Being outside during a spacewalk and looking all around you and both flying around and looking out through your helmet is just amazing. So I don't know. There's so many great things about being up here, but flying is cool.
Suni, thank you so much for the time this morning. It's always a pleasure, and we'll look forward to talking with you again, either from up there or when you get back down here. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Peter.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, Huffington Post and CBS Radio News Network. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.